ఇంకా నిన్నెందుకు తీస్తారా నువ్వు మరీ
సౌండ్ రావట్లేదండి. సౌండ్ రావట్లేదు. అయితే అయితే సౌండ్ రావట్లేదండి.
section and then using hidden form fields. Okay, so let me
చెప్పాలి. తిన్-
open this next one.
మరి ఏంది ఎవరికి చెప్పింది నీకు? చేసినావు అయిపోయిందా?
Okay, we'll discuss about cookie session tracking mechanism. So cookies STP session we have seen, right? We have to create the session object, and then you have to
వద్దులే, ఇప్పుడు వద్దు, తర్వాత
add
తీసుకున్నాం.
the values name value pairs in the HTTP session object, and then you can get it with the help of different methods available in HTTP session. So and now the next technique that we're going to see is cookie session tracking mechanism. The cookie session tracking mechanism is it depends on the browser, it depends on the user how he's going to use it, because if the user disables the cookies in his browser settings, then you will not be able to run this cookie session tracking mechanism in your JSP and Solid server application, because sometimes they feel that it is a security concern for them, a security threat for them to save cookies if they are browsing over the internet. So what they does is they will disable the cookies so that they won't be tracked by anybody, and their data, whatever they are interacting with the website, will not be saved locally in their or they will not be transferred to the server over the network. So in that kind of situations, the cookie session mechanism tracking mechanism may not work. So for
అయిపోయిందా?
that, you can use either a hidden form fields or URL rewriting. So, but for now, since you have to know how you can use cookie session mechanism, we're going to look at some predefined methods and how you can use it. Okay, so the cookie is available in Java X servlet.html package with a cookie as a keyword. Okay, so we have two constructors. One is using a cookie, a blank constructor where it doesn't take any input parameters, and the other one is uh, a parameterized constructor where it takes two values to both these things are used to create cookies. Actually, that is the reason we have to know these two constructors, and cookies save values in the form of name value pairs, like as a HTTP session. And to add cookies, we have a method called, the method signature is the first point that I've placed here, that I'm highlighting. So add cookie, you can send the cookies. You can create a cookie using this syntax, but how to add a cookie to the response is by using the method add cookie, and this is, as I've told you, this is available in HTTP servlet response, so that when you add some cookie, and this code actually should be done on Java side. Okay, so Java side in the sense in your servlet, so you can add this cookie, whatever you have created using cookie parameterized constructor, into servlet response object using add cookie method. Okay, and you can get the list of cookies what are being saved inside the response object with the help of method called get cookies. So now we'll see what are the steps involved in creating a cookie in the servlet, and how they can be passed over to the network, so that each time you want some session, or you want some value for the particular key, like say for example, I've logged into my application, in a web application, and in every module I want to be shown my customized page. So in order to get my customized page, first they have to know that it is me. So in every servlet, what they does is, while sending back the response, they place my username in the
72
cookie, and
బిలియన్
then
కదా
send
సార్.
and then they add it to the response, and then they send it back to the browser. So there are two steps mainly involved. One is creating your cookie, and the second one is adding the cookie to the response, so that it will be sent from the particular server to the browser. That means JSP or HTML, whatever we are discussing now, whatever you use in your web application. Okay, so now the syntax is cookie. We have seen that it is available in HTTP dot HTTP servlet dot session dot cookie. http.cookie. So first one is creating a cookie object, and the second one is
అయిపోయింది
adding
చేసిన
cookie to the
రిజిస్టర్ అయినావా
response object. So once you add the cookie to the response, then that cookie will be particularly sent to the browser, and from there again, if you send it back, and send it back means whenever you send a request back to the servlet again, that cookie will be accompanied along with the request parameters that are freshly coming from that second request. Okay, so in this manner you can achieve cookie session tracking mechanism, and we'll see how this actually works. Okay, now you see this is a image which I thought will
ఏమైంది ఎక్కడ
help you
పియరే
understand it much better. So on the left side, if you see, there is a browser window or a system. On the right side, you have the
Okay,
server.
different.
You can think of it as your local
వేరే
server
దగ్గర
or
ఉండొచ్చు
cloud
కదా
Flutter. It can be anywhere. Okay. So now
వేరే
if the
దగ్గర
request
లొకేషన్ కూడా
comes from
లొకేషన్
the
ఉండొచ్చు కదా
browser first time, it will not have any cookies obviously, because it is the first request that is coming from the browser. Once the first response is rendered or processed, then you will save the cookie information about the browser. So the first request will not have anything. Okay, so it goes to the server. Now what happens in the server? Then we do some business logic, contacting the server, validating your username with the database, and then if everything is success, what we do is
సరే మరి
we
ఇంకా పడుకో
give a
మరి
response.
రేపైతే ఇక
So whenever we are
ఈవినింగ్
giving a response, even if it's positive or negative, that response object can have a cookie. That means while sending back the response, you create a cookie with the help of cookie ck equal to new cookie, which is a parameterized constructor, and then you can add that
సరే మరి
cookie to the
డౌన్లోడ్
response
అయితే
object,
రాయండి
and
ఒకసారి
then how after
బాయ్
sending the
గుడ్
response to
నైట్
the while I mean actually not after, while you are sending the response from the server to the browser, cookies will also accompany the response object. Um,
ఇంకొకరు వచ్చింది
so that the
వాళ్ళ
session will
ఫ్రెండ్
be
ఒకడు
tracked. The session is
ఉంటాడు
nothing but
వాళ్ళ
the
అన్న
user
వాళ్ళ ఫ్రెండ్ వాళ్ళ
credentials you
అన్నకంట
want to save for temporary purpose. So as the
ఓకే
third
అన్న
time when you send a request again, which is the top curved one, that particular request plus whatever cookie that has come in the second step will go to the server again. You understand what I'm saying? So now with the third request, what the servlet can do is it can get the cookies whatever have been created till that point of time, plus the third step request object. So these all things will
వంకాయ
be sent
మొత్తం
back to the
చేసినావా
server whenever we want to use key session tracking mechanism using cookies. So now we have seen how it is used, what are the steps involved to do it, and the representation, the theory part, how it is actually achieved. So what we'll do is we'll go and write an example. So I have written this example already. I'll explain that what is happening. So every web application, if you understand it from the basic or the starting point, you have to go and look at web.xml file, because it has all the configurations of the URL, the welcome files. Most of the things are in web.xml file. There's no way, if there are like 100 files, you can't just go to each file and see what is URL pattern here. But if you look at web.xml file, you will have a better understanding of the application.
వినిపిస్తుంది
Okay. So now we have a servlet, which is first servlet, and then we have a second servlet definition, and for each one we have an URL mapping. Okay, so servlet mapping, you're mapping it to the servlet 1, that means first servlet, and second servlet is /servlet, which is mapping, which has been mapped into second servlet, and the last one is there's a welcome file list which mentions that index.html should be open initially. Okay, so by looking at least once the web.xml file when you're new to the project, it will make you understand what are the technologies that application is using, or what are the welcome files, what are the other configurations, filters. There's so many things that a web.xml file can help you with. So it's good to know the web.xml file in prior to starting the application. I mean, working on the application. So now we have this URL pattern, and when we come to index.html, so here if you see, there is a form with input type text, and then there is a username, and we have a input type submit, which whatever the value is, go. Okay, so now the form is closed. So what happens here when you click on the go? This action class will be called, wherein servlet one will be called, and servlet one is mapped to first servlet, and in first servlet wherein my default package is there. If you come to first servlet, he's overriding do post method. Then you have to send post here. Yeah, he's sending post from here. Okay, so he's writing a text/html file to the as a response to the browser. Okay, so it is not plain text; it is a HTML rendering. I mean, HTML rendering will be done on the browser if it comes something up with as content type as text/HTML. Okay, now we have print writer as usual, and then we are getting the username. So what is that we are doing here is we are in the 17th line we are creating a cookie. Okay, username with the username as a key and n as the value, and response. Okay, in 18th line we are actually adding the response. We're adding the cookie to the response object which is the variable as ck. Okay, so this is how you can create a cookie and add the same cookie to the response object, so that it will be sent back to the browser along with the response. Okay, so and then we are actually printing again a form uh, wherein there is an action and method and input type, submit value and go. We have a simple form, guys. There's just a go button. That's it. There's nothing inside it, and but once you click on the go, what is happening? It is again going to the second action, which is servlet 2, and we don't know what is the servlet mapping, so we come to servlet 2, and then we see the second servlet mapped is actually mapping to second servlet, and we go and open the default package. So here again he's overriding do post and printing the text/html. And now if you see, the only way to get all the cookies at any place in the servlet is using the request.getCookies. So the getCookies array will give you the cookie array, and since we know it is only one cookie available inside this cookie object, in this example particularly, we can see only one value. That is the reason he's hard coding it in the line 13, mentioning ck of 0. So 0 is nothing but just the first place where the cookie is stored. Okay, so now let's go and run that. Let me stop the server. So you understood, right? The first control is like index.html, and it will again go to first.html. From there we'll see a simple form. I mean, you can just say a button. From there the form is submitted to second servlet, and from here you will get a HTML file, which is not going to take anywhere. That means there's no third or fourth servlet. Server stopped. I'll remove all these things clean. Okay.
Your credit card మా కేమా
నీకు
మొత్తం వస్తుంది
నాకు వచ్చింది
ఏం స్క్రీన్ లేదు
680
చూపిస్తూనే ఉంది.
Let's clean that. Okay. Let's clean Tomcat also, so that if there are any work files, class files, they'll be deleted. Okay, now right click on the project, say run on server.
I will call and
Okay, the first HTML, which is index.html, is being displayed with the help of our welcome file list, and now I'll give some name here. Okay, so when I click on go, what happens is this will go to the first servlet, and the first servlet will again give me the HTML file. Okay, but this will be displayed in the servlet 1. Okay, so now why did he give us a second servlet? The reason being here is Okay, in session you have saved, in the first servlet you have saved the session with the username called whatever the user has input, has given us input. But later on, if you want to get the cookie, and if you stop at writing one servlet, what would happen? You will not use the cookie in the servlet again. So for that reason, we are taking a second servlet, wherein from this page, that servlet will be invoked, and whatever cookies we have saved till now, I mean, I know it is one, but depending on the cookie count, we'll send them back to the second servlet. Okay, so now when you click on go, it is saying hello Patrick. So the same username is being passed to different servlets with the help of cookie session tracking mechanism, and that is done with the help of, since first servlet we are adding a cookie and setting it as a response. So what happens here, the response and cookie will be sent back to the browser as a HTML page, and it is exactly the same. The third URL pattern, which is actually calling the second servlet directly. So now the request coming from the browser and the cookies will be passed along.
First,
Okay, so this is a cookie session tracking mechanism that you can use. Any questions? Okay, we have seen cookie and add cookies. Okay, the thing we have to see is get cookies, how it is being used. Okay, get cookies, we have cookie, and then we get the value. When you give the value with the first one, you don't use name here, you get the actual value what we have saved in the last session. Okay, add cookie, get cookie. But the drawback is what I've mentioned in the starting of the session, is that if the client disables the cookies, then you'll not be able to achieve all these things. Okay, basically it is all, the cookies will always be sent from the server to the web application or the web browser, and from there back to the, along with the request to the server. So this, interaction of passing the cookies will not be possible if someone disables the cookies. And now next in the line is URL rewriting. Okay. So what is URL rewriting? URL rewriting is nothing but the place where you manage the navigation by sending it to some other resource if the resource is not available. Okay, so that is called rewriting URL rewriting, and most probably this will not be used by all the developers, because it is, first of all, it is very tough to use and easy and hard to change if there is any change in the requirement. But we'll have a look at it, how you can write it. We have an example here. Okay, again we'll go and look at the web.xml file, what is happening. It's the same story what we have seen in the last example. There are total two servlets, guys. One is servlet 1, first servlet, and the second one is second servlet with S2. So for S1 we have a URL parameter as /servlet1, and for second servlet we have /servlet2. So now when we go and see what is the servlet's functionality, we have to get here, and the response is text/html, and then username, it is coming from the request object, and appending the username with the request. Okay, now here if you see the URL pattern, URL rewriting, the URL pattern is coming as AHF servlet2 and some username and then visit. So this is called URL rewriting. I mean, whenever you send some link, or whenever you map that link to a particular servlet or another resource, then that itself is called as session tracking. Because URL rewriting will help you send the same request and response objects to the next resource that you want to execute this particular service. Okay, so in that part of the case, we use this URL rewriting pattern. It is not nothing complex about URL rewriting, but we'll just run and see how this works. Let me stop it again, clean it, and then we'll see why it is not working. Okay. See, after clearing everything, it is working fine now. Okay, so URL rewriting. Now we got a name. We gave a name, which is Sam, and then when you click on go, you get a URL here. I mean, this is like you are iterating. I mean, you are visiting third-party resource. It's not the same resource that you are using in your application. It would be a third-party resource. So there you can use the URL rewriting, and you have to send. The important point is if you want to send a session object, there is no session concept. All you have to do is you have to send them in the URL. So that's the reason it is called URL rewriting. Whenever you want to send the data, it is being shown in the browser main URL place. Okay. That is with the URL rewriting, and the next one in the list is hidden form fields. Hidden form fields out of the I discussed about three patterns. One is cookie session tracking mechanism, HTTP session tracking mechanism, and then URL rewriting. So the last one, which is not officially given by HTTP servlet, but there is always need to learn the technique because it's widely used by all the developers. And that is nothing other than hidden form fields. So hidden form fields are very easy to use, and as a developer, as a HTML developer or a JSP developer, you will feel that you are actually getting the values by looking at the hidden variables. But all the techniques that I have shown you will be handled by the server, but the one that I'm gonna discuss about now will be handled by the developer. So the first point is hidden or you can say elements. Hey, wait, I'll just have some water and come back.
హలో ఏందిరా ఏందిరా ఏం చేస్తున్నారా అబ్బా మర్చిపోయినరా నీ డబ్బులు ఎక్కడిరా ఎక్కడిరా నీ డబ్బులు ఎంత పంపాలరా ఆర్కే కడితే 2.5 వాడు నేను ఎందుకు ఇవ్వాలరా మరి నువ్వు అడగట్లేదు నువ్వు మర్చిపోయావు అనుకున్నా నా దగ్గరనే ఉందిరా సరే చేస్తా
శివానికి కాల్ చేసినారు గుర్తుంది.
ఎవరు
శివానికి
అడిగినా?
కాల్ చేసినారు. దీపక్
నేను ఇండియాలో జాబ్ చేస్తున్నానా ఎవరు చెప్పినారా
పాస్పోర్ట్ పోయింది అది.
అరే రే కాదురా అయ్యా నాది ప్రాసెసింగ్ ఉంటుంది కదా ఈ మార్కెటింగ్ వెండర్ కాల్స్ ఇంటర్వ్యూస్ అన్నీ అది నాది ఇండియా నుంచి అవుతుందని చెప్పిన నీకు నేను సోదిగా నీదేమైంది ఉమ్. 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 ఉమ్.
అవి ఎక్కడ ఫుల్ తాగుతున్నట్టు ఏంటన్నా మసాజ్ చేసి.
నాకు నేను చెప్పిన కదా అదంతా ఇండియా నుంచి
ఆ
జరుగుతుంది
బేకర్
నాకు ఏం తెలియదు నాకు ఓన్లీ స్కైప్ కాల్ ఉన్నప్పుడు నాకు చెప్తాను అనమాట స్కైప్ ఇంటర్వ్యూ ఉంది ఈరోజు రెడీ అవ్వు మంచి ప్రిపేర్ అవ్వు అని చెప్తారు రెజ్యూమ్ అంతే ఎవరైతే చెప్తున్నా కదా అయిపోయింది ఈరోజు ఈరోజు 4 days లాస్ట్ 3 days 7 days రేపు 8 days 2 weeks అయిపోతుంది
Okay, thank you and sorry
ఏం
for
వర్క్
taking.
లేదంటే కొంచెం కొంచెం
Okay, so we are discussing about hidden
Hello?
form fields, and
వాటి
there's a
క్యాటర్పిల్లర్ రా
simple way you
యూరియా
can achieve
ఇల్లోయిస్
this. There are no complex steps or session tracking mechanisms, no
Caterpillar.
variables creation and all. So what you do is, okay, for
ఏం
example,
రా
think
అంత
of
లక్
this.
ఇక్కడ
There is a form, and
ఉన్నారు చాలా మంది ఉన్నారు
you give in
సరే నీకు ఏంది నీకు ఇందాక
type equal
అప్పుడు నీకు
to
డిస్కౌంట్ ఎక్కువ
first
రికమెండ్
name,
చేసిన డిస్కౌంట్ కార్డ్ అప్లై చేయొచ్చు కదా క్రెడిట్ కార్డు
name equal to
1500 వస్తుందిరా
sorry, type would not be first name, type would be text.
అరే రే 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 నువ్వు ఇచ్చే నీ అప్లికేషన్ బట్టి నీ క్రెడిట్ లిమిట్
First
ఫ్రెండ్ గాడి
then you close it.
క్రెడిట్
In the same
క్రెడిట్ స్కోర్
manner,
బాగుందని
you
చెప్పి నీకు
will
క్రెడిట్ కార్డ్
have,
మంచి
you
స్కోర్
may
రాదు
have
మంచి లిమిట్ రాదు నువ్వు నీ అప్లికేషన్ బట్టి వస్తుంది
phone
నువ్వు
number.
యాన్యువల్ ఇన్కమ్ ఎంత పెడతావు నువ్వు రెంట్ ఎంత పెడతావు అది అన్ని ఇష్యూ పెడతారు
Okay,
ఇస్తారు
it
నీకు
would also be text. And then, so now you have this form.
కావాలా
You have submitted this to some action. Okay, some
డబ్బులు
action.
లేవు నా దగ్గర కూడా ఇంకా నా
By
దగ్గర
clicking
$25
on
ఉంది
the
బ్యాంక్
submit
అకౌంట్ కదా
button.
నీది నీది ఏం కావాలి నీకు
Okay, and
ఓ
now since this request is going to some action, what
Padya.
happens on the server side? We'll see that. on this.
10 రా ఓ
On the
అందులో
next
10
page,
పంపించమంటున్నావా
on the next.
నేను అడుగుతుంది నేను పంపిస్తాను నీకు జాబ్ వచ్చినాక పంపిస్తాను నేను
So what happened?
అరే
So the server, we use string.
అరే నా దగ్గర ఇంకా లేవు డబ్బులు
Name
సరే మరి ఒకటి
equal to, we get them from request.getParameter method. We have seen that so many examples, and you use the same
1%.
name what it is using. What is the name
1%.
attribute having? Then only you can get the name. So now I
అరే
got the first
1%
name, and I will get the phone number.
ఏంటి అరే $10 లో 1% అంటే ఎంతరా 1%.
Get parameter
దీని ఒకళ్ళే
phone number. Okay, so now you got these two things, and what happens when you want to say these two things and send it back to the
సరే ఇప్పుడు ఏం చేస్తావు చేయరా
server. I mean, send it back
ఏం
to the
చేస్తారా
browser so that you will get the values back in the JSP again,
జాబ్
JSP
వచ్చినాక
HTML page.
పంపిస్తాను
So
కదా.
how can you do that? In the sense is you can do like this. You can do response dot
వేణు చేస్ బ్యాంక్ ఓపెన్ చేసిన వేణు
select review
ఎందుకు
f name
మరి ఎందుకు అప్లై చేసిన స్టూడెంట్ అకౌంట్
whatever
ఓపెన్ చేసిన
value
ఎందుకంటే
it
అది
is.
ఇంకా
Okay, so this
గ్రాడ్యుయేట్
is
కాలేదు
what is
కదా
happening
ఇంకా
here. You
సిబిటీ
are
కదా
getting it from the request object and again sending it back to the response.
ఐడెంటిటీ
So when you send back to the response, how can you get it from the response object and how can you use the hidden functionality in your browser is
సరే సరే ఇప్పుడు
there
నీకు
is
ఇంకో
an
మెయిల్
input
వచ్చింది చూసిన
type
యూబర్
till now
యువర్
we have
ఫ్రెండ్
not
యూ
discussed
హ్యావ్
about
స్టఫ్
this,
ఫ్రమ్ యూబర్ ఫ్రమ్
which
యువర్
is
ఫ్రెండ్ అని
called hidden, wherein you
వస్తుంది
set the
యూబర్
value which is coming from the server as the same name that
రిజిస్టర్ అవ్వు క్యాబ్ సర్వీస్
is
ఫస్ట్
being
రైడ్
used
ఫ్రీ
to
వస్తుంది
save the variable that you
$20.
want to hide. So this one, you know,
రిజిస్టర్ అవ్వే
this is not an input type text. This is not
ఇదిగో
an
మీ ఫ్రెండ్
input
ఏమైనా
type
రికార్డ్ చేసిందా
checkbox, a radio button, or a text area,
మరి
or
మరి
a
రిజిస్టర్ అవ్వు
select which is drop down. This it is nothing of such sort. It is just
ఫస్ట్
input
రైడ్ ఫ్రీ
type input
వస్తుంది
hidden.
$20
That means wherever you place this piece of code,
నువ్వు
this
ఫస్ట్ రైడ్
line,
వాడుకున్న తర్వాత నాకు ఒక రైడ్
Okay.
ఫ్రీ వస్తుంది $20
whatever value or whatever line that is there, it will be hidden. You cannot see it.
ఫస్ట్ అది
On the
ఆన్లైన్లో
page.
రిజిస్టర్ అయిన తర్వాత
But you
యూబర్
can
యాప్
see
ఉంటుంది
it
ఫోన్లో
whenever
డౌన్లోడ్
you
చేసుకొని
click on,
సైన్ ఇన్ అవ్వాలి
whenever you right click on the web browser.
నీకు ఎప్పుడు కావాలంటే అప్పుడు క్యాబ్ రిక్వెస్ట్ చేయొచ్చు
Your
వచ్చేస్తుంది
source.
4-5
Now this
మినిట్స్లో
will give you the source how it is actually
అదా అది
or
అది
what is
మైల్స్ని
value of
బట్టి
the
ఉంటుంది
particular
ఇంకా.
hidden value. Okay, so this is one of the technique which where mostly developers are
మీ
based
డబ్బులు
on
ఎక్కడ పోలే
based on
పంపిస్తలే
or dependent on, because all that other things are little complex and it will take up your time setting up things and
ఏది
writing those things and again getting back there. So this is the most widely used.
64063.
I mean, even if it is not officially told by the servlet
1500
technology
వచ్చింది.
that this hidden form fields will also be used in session tracking mechanism, but still, even if it's not standard, but still people are
ఇంకోటి
using this
వచ్చింది,
kind
ఇంకోటి
of
apply చేశారు.
technique which is improving
ఎవరు అప్లై చేశారు
your session tracking without
600 ఖర్చు పెట్టినా ఇక నేను మంత్లీ
This is
ఇంకా
simple, right? So
25
whenever
25
you have
కట్టుకుంటూ
the F
పోతున్నా
name, so what happens? So again, for example, again if this page wherever this input type hidden is there,
మన
whenever you want to
శ్రీధర్ గారు
submit it again, what happens
క్రెడిట్లను
is
ఇంక్రీజ్ చేయమని చెప్తే వాళ్ళు
you
ఇంక్రీజ్
can get
చేశారంట
that
2000
particular
చేశారంట
value with the help of get parameter again. It is like sending along with the request object.
క్రెడిట్ లిమిట్ ఇంక్రీజ్ చేయమంటే చేశారంట 16
You can get it
2000
with the help
వచ్చిందంట
of request get parameter. So this is how you
2000
can achieve
is
hidden
it?
form fields tracking mechanism. And now we're going to look at an example. Okay, so let's start the server again.
అరే బ్యాంక్ అకౌంట్ మీద
Want
ఫోన్
to keep
చేసి
it running.
నా క్రెడిట్ లైన్ ఇంక్రీజ్
Remove
అయిందని
this.
అడిగిందంట
It's always
చేసిరంట
better to place only one, deploy only one
ఏమో దాని ముందు
application,
కట్టింది అనుకుంటా
because if there are
500 ఏమో
like say
కట్టిందంట
7 or 6 applications and you try to start the server, there is an error in one of the applications, and whenever the
Yes,
server is
it's
starting,
in the
it is throwing an error saying that could not start the server because of this and this reason. So you have to go and debug why it is
ఇది
not
Java
working
మొత్తం
if you're
perfect
not using
అయినట్టు
it also. So it is waste of time. So let's
ఉందిరా
not waste
ఆల్మోస్ట్
time
3
by
months అవుతుంది
putting all the
ఇండియాలో
outlets
ఉన్నప్పుడు
in
మన
your
రీజన్
workspace.
ఉన్నప్పుడు మొత్తం
Just
ఒకసారి
import only one say
టాపిక్స్ అన్నీ
running on the server,
అయిపోయినాయి
and
ఇప్పుడు
that
అప్లై చేయడం ఒకటే
then only
మిగిలింది 3 months
you can see the errors and the output logs of your own application at that point of time at least. Okay, so
నేను మొన్ననే ఎస్ఎస్ఎన్ వచ్చింది కదా నాకు ఇంకా క్రెడిట్ స్కోర్ జనరేట్ కాలేదు ఇంకా ఇది డిస్కోర్ కార్డ్ది ఫస్ట్ స్టేట్మెంట్ వచ్చినాక జనరేట్ అయిద్దేమో ఎందులో చూస్తున్నాను నేను క్రెడిట్ కార్డ్ మాకు చూస్తా నీ జనరేట్ అయిందా థిన్ ఫైల్ అని వస్తుంది
I'll create a
థిన్ ఫైల్
project
అని వస్తుంది
and
నాదైతే ఏంటంటే మొన్ననే కదా ఎస్ఎస్ఎన్ తీసుకుంది మొన్ననే కదా ఎస్ఎస్ఎన్ మీద ఒక కొత్త క్రెడిట్ కార్డ్ తీసుకుంది ఇంకా వాళ్ళకి క్రెడిట్ లైన్ ఇంకా ఎస్టాబ్లిష్ కానట్టుంది క్రెడిట్ బ్యూరోస్ అని ఉంటాయి మధ్యలో వాళ్ళకి మన ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ ఇంకా వెళ్ళినట్టుంది అది వెళ్ళాక క్రెడిట్ స్కోర్ జనరేట్ అవుతుంది ఇంకా కొత్త క్రెడిట్ కార్డ్స్ కదా మనకి ఎస్ఎస్ఎన్ మీద అందుకే కొంచెం టైం పడుతుంది నీ బ్యాంక్ అకౌంట్ ఎస్ఎస్ఎన్ లింక్ చేసినావా హలో నీ బ్యాంక్ అకౌంట్ లింక్ చేసినావా మరి నీకు ఎట్లా వస్తుంది క్రెడిట్స్ కూడా? నీకు నీ ఎస్ఎస్ఎల్ మీద ఏం క్రెడిట్ కార్డ్స్ లేనప్పుడు ఏమైనా క్రెడిట్ కార్డ్స్ ఉంటే అది ఎస్ఎస్ఎల్ మీద లింక్ అయితే అప్పుడు వస్తుంది. ఏం లేదు క్రెడిట్ ఎస్ఎస్ఎల్ మీద ఏం లేనప్పుడు ఏమో ఎట్లా వస్తుంది?